what happened is I started building relationships with designers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I tried a couple of different like networking options out there, but the designers were where I really found my niche.
Okay.
And I did one project for them, went well. I communicated well. They felt like I didn't talk down to them.
Yeah.
I treated them as a peer, as we were partners, which we are.
Yeah.
And and then it would be like, okay, they referred me one. Well, now they referred me three more, because the first one went so well. All my projects have come from referral.
That's awesome.
Some from client referral.
Yeah.
But most of them from designer referrals.
Welcome to DFW Grit. I'm Dr. James Taylor, and I'm your host, and this is more than just a podcast. We dive into the stories of the movers, the shakers, the small business owners, the entrepreneurs, right here in the DFW Metroplex. This is your home for authentic, real stories that prove what happens when you don't back down. Let's get to work. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of DFW Grit. As always, I'm your host, Dr. Taylor. Today with me, Mr. Brandon Allen. If I could give you just a quick intro from Masterpiece Construction, right?
Yep.
And you guys do from what I could glean, primarily like remodels. You guys do new builds.
Yeah, so we have focused for the last couple of years on remodels, and we're initiating a new build division this year.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm saying it's. Again, from what I could tell, like just a little bit of everything. I mean, whether it be kitchen work, bathrooms, indoor, outdoor living spaces. Outdoor living spaces seem to be a real big market lately.
Yeah, especially here in Texas.
Yeah,
for sure.
Now, all that being said, like I said, I did a little bit of research. You were also Dr. Allen.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
Come from pharmacy. In pharmacy for what, 8-10 years, decade, something like that. Owned your own place for 7.
Yep.
And now you build stuff.
Now I build stuff, man. It's kind of a wild ride.
So typically the first question I ask people is, tell me your origin story. How'd you get to where you are? I'm acutely interested. How did you get to where you are, from pharmacist to not to downplay, Bob the Builder?
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'll take the downplay. That's fine. All right. So I'll give you a very brief, like, early history, and then get more into the relatively recent stuff. But I grew up in rural North Carolina. My parents were both very much
Gamecock,
working.
Right?
Yeah, I went to South Carolina for college, but both my parents were very much like working class individuals, and they're like all of us parents, right? We want better for our kids, right? Well, they thought, like that meant going to school, being a professional, like all this kind of stuff. So it meant going to college,
a certain color of collar,
exactly. Yeah, moving out of that blue collar life and into
the shirt was unplanned for that conversation.
You definitely went for the white collar today. But they wanted the best for me, so they encouraged me in that direction. I ended up working at a local pharmacy there in my small town where I grew up, and saw pharmacists, living comfortably, right? And so I was like, well, I could do this, that could be all right. Went to college at University of South Carolina. Ended up working for a guy there doing painting, mainly painting. We did lay some floors and stuff like that, but mainly painting. And I did that part-time and on the weekends, full-time during the summer, helping him out, until I got into pharmacy school. And then I got into pharmacy school, got busy with that, started working at a pharmacy, stuff like that. But I got out of pharmacy school, ended up moving down here to DFW. I lived in Fort Worth originally, and then got my pharmacist license, began work. Had a really hard time finding my spot in pharmacy. I kept bouncing around trying to find something that was a good fit for me. I did Walgreens. I was director of pharmacy at a rehab hospital, like a physical rehab hospital where people go with strokes and hip replacement, stuff like that. Yeah. And then I worked for Parkland Hospital, managing outpatient operations for them. I had 70 something direct reports. It was a lot. Working for them was a lot.
I've heard that about Parkland.
Yeah. Well, and at that time they were building that nice big new hospital. So, it was during that whole transition and all that kind of stuff. It was a mess.
Yeah.
But
There's
learned,
probably no smooth way to go through it, I imagine.
no, it's really not. I mean, you just handle it the best you
Yeah.
can. So anyways, I did that, and then me and my wife moved up to Argyle, just north of Fort Worth, between Fort Worth and Denton, and it was a heck of a drive down to Parkland. I told her, I was like, I got to find something closer. So I ended up finding a pharmacy, an independent pharmacy, and that was probably a better fit. And the owner actually was kind of on his way out, and so he asked me one day, he's like, "You want to buy it?" And I was like, "I don't know, sure." That's kind of, I'm a ready, fire, aim kind of guy. I was like, "Sure, we'll figure it out as we go."
Yep.
I actually had a mentor tell me not to buy that, which turns out later he was right. Spoiler alert. But anyways,
Well, thanks for listening, everybody. No.
yeah, that's it. That's the end of the story. So a mentor of mine told me not to buy it, and I should have listened to him, but that's all right. We learn our lessons in different ways. So I buy the pharmacy. I take it from about 1.2 million a year in gross revenue to almost 4. So on the surface had success, but made some poor financial decisions. And in healthcare, particularly in pharmacy, the margins are so razor thin that mistakes can really be detrimental. So anyways, got it up to almost $4 million, but almost went bankrupt at the same time.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Was able to kind of cool magic trick.
Yeah, it was it was mind boggling too.
Yeah.
It was one of those things that, like, we're doing all the right things. We're making, we're growing, we're doing all these things. And I just mismanaged some things and made a couple poor decisions that I think in other industries might not have been fatal. But in particular industry, because the margins are so thin and you're kind of skating on thin ice, it would really hurt.
Yeah.
So anyways, almost went bankrupt. I literally was on the phone with my wife. I still remember I was on the phone with my wife, and she was like, what are we going to do? And I was like, I don't know. We might have to file bankruptcy. And that was a very hard situation. We had 2 young kids at the time. And in fact, our middle one now, she's 4, but that was like, she had just been born. Like, she was less than 6 month old. And man, it was such a trying time. So I called up that mentor that told me not to buy the pharmacy, and he listened. He listened to everything, and he said, "Send me your financials." He said, "We're going to get you out of this." And so he bailed me out with some financial help on a loan, with good terms.
Yeah.
And so he basically
Like a good friend to have.
he basically loaned me the money at with no very, very, very little interest, and a little bit of equity stake, for his assistance in turning the business around.
Yep.
And so anyways, we got it turned around. We got it back to being cash flow positive. But in that process, I realized that I didn't love that enough to make that my life's work. And so I told my wife after we kind of got out of it. Oh, by the way, Bruce, my mentor, he finally got in I told you so moment. He finally got that in. He was
a good
nice.
Mentor will.
Yeah, he was nice about it, but he waited a few weeks until the
dust settled.
The dust settled a little bit, and then he was like, "Told you not to buy it."
And so, dust out until things unpuckered.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, we got out of that, and I told my wife, I was like, I got to do something different. I was like, this is not what I'm meant to be doing. I'm a Christ follower. I'm a Christian, and I did not feel like that was where God had for me. So I spent about a year kind of praying over it, thinking on it, journaling, talking to my wife, like trying to figure out what I was going to do. And
where are we sitting now? Because if you had the middle child's 4 now, so we're sitting probably 2020.
Yeah, so 21 was the year I thought I was going to have to file bankruptcy. Okay. I spent the rest of
20. So wait, so you got the business stuff going on, let alone the shit show that was 2020 and 2021 that we're coming out of.
Well, so all right, so like COVID and the pandemic was part of what kind of hurt me in a way, because we started getting all these like opportunities to make money in healthcare by providing these different services and stuff.
Yeah.
But I mismanaged the growth.
Okay.
hired too many people, bought too much inventory, mismanaged my inventory, stuff like that. And so that's what, ultimately kind of sunk me there was the growth happened so quickly and so fast. I mean, I'd
Mhm.
been growing, bought it in 17. So I grew a pretty good clip every year, but then it was like 20 was like straight up,
Yep.
but I had no idea how to manage that.
Yeah.
I had no idea how to navigate it. I didn't have enough cash on hand to be able to do that. So just, you know, learn just school of hard knocks
Yep.
there, right? And so fast forward 21, I spend the year kind of working on myself, right? Obviously working on the business, making sure it stayed good and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, moving on, I told my wife one day, I was like, I keep having this feeling that I need to be back. I need to be in construction. I was like, I really enjoyed my time in like 2006, 2009 area working in construction, making stuff with my hands. And I did woodworking as a kind of a hobby on the
Mhm.
side, even as a pharmacist and stuff. And, always enjoyed it and stuff like that. I was like, I keep feeling like I'm supposed to go there. She was like, that makes no sense. I'm not what you're talking about. And I was like, I get it. I get it.
Yep.
But anyways, I finally convinced her that that was what we were supposed to do. I said, I spent, the last 11 years managing people.
Mhm.
I only had one job that wasn't in management of some sort. So I said, I know I have physical limitations because I've already had to have back surgery. I had back surgery when I was 20,
Oh, damn.
the lumbar fusion. So I still got those rods in my back and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So, anyways, I finally got her convinced, and she says, "Okay, if that's what you feel like we need to do, then let's do it." So I spent probably 6 more months kind of figuring it out, putting all the pieces in place, and starting in 23, early 23, I started taking on jobs
Okay.
one at a time, smaller jobs, kind of figuring it out, feeling my way along. Hey, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? How to price things, all that
Yep.
kind of stuff. And in September of 23, I went full time into it. I sold the pharmacy to my mentor Bruce and one of his partners, and we were able to. I was kind of able to kind of get away from that, and then I started the construction company full force in September of 23. In 24, we did $1.1 million in gross sales.
Damn.
Yeah,
In a year.
in a year. It was
Oh,
nuts, right?
did you
Um,
manage this growth better?
much better.
Atta boy.
Much better. Yeah, we had cash in the bank at the end of the year. Yay! But yeah, handled it much better. Um, Same with 25 so far. I mean, once again, just extraordinary growth
That's
and
awesome, dude.
and cash flow positive through it all, right? Obviously ups and downs of cash flow,
Yeah.
whatever, that's fine. But overall, solvent, doing the right things this time, learn my lessons.
So did you have a mentor for this new venture then?
So that was one thing that I made sure I had this time
Uh-huh.
was like I was not going to go it alone.
Yeah.
And so I got hooked up with a guy. He's actually out of Wisconsin, but all he does is coach and mentor remodelers. He knows the business inside and out, and he's been in it for 20, 30 years. And you know, he got out of the business himself because he found that he enjoyed the coaching and the mentorship more. And so please stop playing footsies with me. This is weird.
It's on video.
I know.
It's got to
I
be
know.
visually entertaining, not just audio.
Exactly. All right. Anyways, but yeah, I got hooked up with Kyle. His name's Kyle Hunt, and it's just been super helpful to have him. But I knew from the get go. I was like, I'm not making the same mistakes twice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have mentors, and I'm gonna listen to those mentors. And that was my problem to get with. I thought I knew better. I thought I was smarter.
Yeah.
And you can read and you can do all these things, but like nothing beats experience.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, I feel truly blessed with what we have and where it's going. And I've got some amazing guys in my unit now that I just like I couldn't ask for any better. I can't tell you how ecstatic I am about where we're at now, but it was a shit show
So when
for a
you
long time.
just walk me through this transition here. So from the pharmacy, okay, I'm gonna do the construction thing. I'm gonna take one job. I'm assuming it was just you.
Yeah, it
Like
was
did
just me and
you and
and
maybe
and I would subcontract out the
another?
work.
Yep.
So, but I was doing all the quality control check. I was doing all the like all the billing, all the contracts. I was doing everything except for the like swinging the hammer part.
Yeah.
And I did at times jump in when needed
Yep.
to get projects to the finish line and stuff like that because I do have those skills. But I
I
just like,
imagine you'll still do that today.
yeah, exactly. And I still do. I still do jump up on ladders and stuff like
Yeah.
that. You know, if we're on a job site and something small needs to be done, it doesn't make sense to have somebody else out for it. Then yeah, for sure, I'll jump in. And all my guys have that ability, which is the nice part.
Well, and I imagine this too, like not just applicable in your field, but like how did you went from the pharmacy, the blue collar or the white collar thing into the I'm going to start my own entrepreneur blue collar business, and you grew it to 1.4 in a year, dude? Where'd you find the work?
I focused on relationships. You know, I had a passion for this stuff. I wanted to do it,
Uh-huh.
and I wanted to do a good job for people. I saw so many people particularly in the remodel industry, but even in new construction, there's so many shady people out there that
Yep.
are just like, it's a money grab, and they'll take people's money and then they peace out and don't do the job,
Dude,
or they come in and they just do a real half-ass job. And I'm not about that's not me
mm-hmm.
in general, and that's definitely not me when it comes to my business. And so it was one of those things I just saw such a glaring need for it, and I felt bad for people. You know, I still get calls today, and sometimes I need to toughen up a little bit. I'm a little bit of a bleeding heart when it comes to that because people will be like, here's the situation. I got hosed by a contractor, and I just need help, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll drop everything I'm doing to try to help them. I'll push them up in the schedule if I can and stuff like that. And sometimes my project managers are like, "What are you doing?" Because I just have a bleeding heart for them.
Yeah.
I feel bad for them, and what happened is I started building relationships with designers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I tried a couple different like networking options out there, but the designers were where I really found my niche.
Okay.
And I did one project for them, went well. I
Uh-huh.
communicated well. They felt like I didn't I didn't talk down to them.
Yeah.
I treated them as a peer, as we were partners, which we are.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then it would be like, okay, they referred me one. Well, now they referred me three more, because the first one went so well.
Yeah.
And now, honestly, like I haven't put a dime into marketing. I mean, into advertising. We have now. We just started like in the last 6 weeks.
Yeah.
But all my projects have come from referral.
That's awesome.
Some from client referral.
Yeah.
But most of them from designer referrals. Which I honestly like. Most of the designers are involved in the implementation, so I look at that as kind of a client referral anyways.
Yeah.
We could do a better job at leveraging the client referrals, but those designers are involved in the whole process. They see how we work.
Right.
It's not that it's not them just blindly feeding us business. They're doing it because they trust us.
Yeah, that's interesting because one of the things that from the chiropractic standpoint, the business standpoint, because obviously the podcast is just fun. This is I use a different side of my brain. But just from the business standpoint, like there I've made a similar shift in that, like, it's I'm spent the last 2 years working on collaboration.
Yeah.
Right. Like I've turned away more potential new patients in the past 2 years than I did in the previous 8. Because it's like, I don't think we'll be a good fit.
Yeah.
The way that I view what I do versus what it seems like you want are two different things. And and I'll tell you what, I have had more fun in this business in the last 2 years than I had, in the previous 8. Nothing against those of you who came to me in the previous 8, but like, when you're working with people that you want to work with and doing what you want to do,
Yeah.
and not only that, but in a way you want to do it, it is a freaking game changer. Because like on the surface, I'm still pushing on backs, right? Just somebody just walking in and watching, but like the relationships are really what made this whole thing kind of change. And it's funny you say that because on my off episodes, on my solos, like I've been talking about that a whole lot more lately. Just the collaboration, the opportunities that collaboration brings, and those opportunities are, man, they're just so much more fun.
Well, it is, and you get better quality clients. On your side, you get clients that are engaged,
Mm-hmm.
and care about what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're not doing it just because, oh, I got an ache here, I'm going to go get it taken care of. It's, they're more in that mindset of a whole body health, wellness, where they're coming in and they want that relationship with you.
Mm-hmm.
You're in a position in your business where you can say that. And we do the same thing on our side, where now it's like somebody calls me for a job and I'm like, that's probably not a great fit for us.
Yep.
So and I tell them that. Something I struggled with was like, I don't want to leave them hanging. So I went and I put together a Rolodex of guys that do those smaller jobs, or are guys that, operate the way that the client is telling me they
Yep.
want to operate.
Yeah, dude, this is same guy. So my coach, one of the things he says, a lot of good coaching is counterintuitive. And one of the things he told me, he goes, find other chiropractors that you can refer to. It's like, why the hell would I want to do that? He goes,
Yeah.
for the people that you don't want to work with.
Yeah, because everybody's different.
Yep.
Every chiropractor is different. Every contractor is different. It's about finding the right fit.
Yep. And I'll tell you, I mean, the more I've gotten referrals from people that I said, I don't want to see you, because basically, like, hey, I don't want to see, like, here's a guy that will help you though. And then they'll go off to them, but then they'll still send their friend to me.
Right.
They trust you. The first time that happened, it blew my mind.
Yeah, they trust you to be honest with them and tell them, like, here's what you need. I can or cannot provide that. Here's our steps going forward.
Yep.
And that's ultimately like what it's about. And because you're still helping that person,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're still providing a service at that point.
Yeah.
Even though it's not a billable service and you're not going to get paid for it, you're still providing that service.
And you get, not only is providing the service, but like leaving them, not to get all like woo, but you're leaving with a good feeling. Like,
oh, for sure.
Oh, dude. Okay, I get it. He said, for whatever reason, this isn't going to work out, but like he gave me other, like you said, it just didn't leave him hanging.
Right.
And the thing is too, like I imagine that, because you're right, like we do take more of a whole body approach. Somebody like who sees the chiropractic as a lifelong thing in some way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. But same thing, I can't imagine the number of times like, you meet someone to, go quote a job or whatever. And let's say it's as little as laying a slab so they can put up a hoop for their kid. But then also they'll probably parlay that into, and, I really want to do something with this back patio here. And man, a pergola would look good over there.
Oh yeah.
And all of a sudden, like, and then you're showing back up at that house summer after summer after summer.
Right. Exactly. And so you never know what something's going to lead into, as long as it's a client or a patient that you're going to enjoy working with.
Mm-hmm.
You were looking for those values. Do we align from a value standpoint? Do we align from a communication standpoint? If you align on those two things, maybe the job isn't exactly what you wanted it to be, but those other things are really important, and you never know what it might turn into.
Dude, that's this is so wild. Like, there's the amount of times this is going to fall somewhere around the number 100 as far as like the number of episodes I've done, right?
Yeah.
Because I said I started this just as a way to use the other side of my brain, and just the amount of coincidences like this that come up. For those not watching, coincidences is in quotes. That like it's it's proof that like there's I'm almost feeling like there's a shift in the way, generally speaking. Now this is gonna sound dumb. I was gonna say there's a shift in the way good business is done, but for all intents and purposes, as those words leaving my mouth, I think it's the way good business has always been done. It's just like, just speaking for myself, like I'm learning how to do it. And when I say good, it's not like I was shady, but like I was stressed, right?
Yeah,
and
right.
It's the same kind of thing. Like as you start to manage your way into doing good business, like with good intent, providing good value.
Yeah,
man, it gets so much easier.
Well, you can run a bad business with good intentions,
true,
and good values. It doesn't change that fact. I mean, that's what I was doing at the pharmacy, is running a bad business.
I wasn't going to say that. I was thinking it.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. We can call it what it is. I was running a bad business there at the pharmacy, with good intentions, but ultimately it wasn't going to succeed like that,
right?
And looking back, that was not a good fit for me. Both from a like passion standpoint, it wasn't what I really cared about. And then on top of that, it was more of the skill set you need to run a pharmacy successfully is not a skill set that I have. I am the kind of person that if I'm faced with a financial situation, well, I'm like, well, I'll just make more money.
Mm-hmm.
cutting the budget is not the first thing that pops into my mind. And obviously budgeting and managing money and stuff like that is super important in a business, and I've had to improve those skills.
Yep.
But if you just kind of put me in a vacuum and you say, well, what would you prefer to do? Be like, I'll go out there and make more money.
Yeah, like I'm just going to work harder.
I'm just going to work harder.
Yep.
That's just the way that I'm wired. And so I had to realize that. And so, with when my project managers and stuff that I hire, we have that conversation early on. Be like, you are responsible for the budget. I'll handle the overhead expenses and I'll manage that budget, but for on a job, you are responsible for the budget.
Yeah.
And that way, at least a good chunk of my, business is being, budget conscious and in that, or is being budgeted in that standpoint.
That's like, I'm again, like same dude, like, oh, I got to make more money. Okay, fine. I'll just work harder.
Yeah. Right.
And very seldom is it like, does that mean I'm going to delegate more? It means I'm going to take on more.
Exactly. and that's something I've had to I've had to get better at. And we can sit here and talk for an hour about delegation and what all goes into
or
that.
the inability to do it.
Oh my God. It's such a unique skill.
So kind of just change it just a little bit. So masterpiece construction, and I say this with love. Anytime I've asked a contractor if they can do anything, the answer is always yes.
Yeah.
Can we build it? Yeah, you can build it.
Right.
What do you got? What do you like to do? What's your specialty?
So we really specialize in the larger projects.
Okay.
Think complex projects. We don't typically come in and just pull out kitchen cabinets and put new ones in with a new backsplash and a countertop.
Okay.
I hate to kind of simplify this, but any average Joe could do that.
Mm-hmm.
And they probably do a pretty good job at it.
Yeah, that's why average Joes have jobs.
Exactly. But let's say you wanted to redo that kitchen, but you also wanted to open up the space to the living room,
mm-hmm.
And replace some windows while you're at it.
Yeah.
So lots of things going on. And so,
God forbid if that sink would look better over there.
Exactly. So that's where I feel like we shine.
Okay.
So we're working on a project in Allen right now. That it was presented to me or referred to me as a kitchen remodel.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was a kitchen remodel, but they also wanted to open up this opening. So it required an engineered beam to be put in. We were adding a window. We were changing to 6 other windows. And then they were expanding the kitchen footprint. No more breakfast nook. The kitchen was going to move over and wrap around there. So we had to relocate the sink to a bigger island that had built-in seating on the other side of the island. That's the type of stuff that we excel at. So they typically are larger projects. If you have a powder bath or a guest bath, don't call me. Don't. I don't want to have to tell you no. I'm a people pleaser. I don't want to.
You just want some wainscoting in this.
Yeah, if you just want to add some wainscoting or stuff like that, I'll get you somebody, but it's not me. So we really excel in those whole home remodels, additions, ADUs. We're doing a detached garage up in northern Denton County right now. Those sort of things. Those are the things.
And it sounds like too then that you're kind of covering the Metroplex Plus.
Yeah, it's one of those things that
northern Denton County is
so I told you
there.
Yeah, so I live in Argyle, so it's not too far from my house.
Okay.
But like I was saying, relationships, right?
Yep.
So the job out in Allen, I don't market in Allen. I don't ask for jobs out there. But the designer that had that job is a dear friend of mine that has sent us gobs of business, and we enjoy working with them. They do a really good job at vetting their clients.
Okay.
So if a client made it through their process, and is working with them, then I feel like they're going to be okay. So they called us and they said, "Hey, we really want the best on this, and we really would like for you to do it." And honestly, I felt honored by that. Yeah. And I was like, "Okay, where is it at?" And they said, "Oh, it's in Allen." I was like, "Dang it, okay." Yep, so, anyways, but I knew working with them was not going to be a problem. I knew that their client was probably going to be a good client to work with. And it has been. It's turned out great. The kitchen's almost done, or the project's almost done, and we're just kind of in the wrap up phase there, and it's gonna be beautiful.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So speaking of wrapping up, then this is a wonderful little transition. If someone has something that's a little more complicated, if they've come across, some contractors who, again, because all contractors will say yes, we can do that,
right.
but they just haven't been able to get it done. Where do people find you?
So the best place to find us is honestly online, masterpiececonstructiontx.com. We have a very useful website. We're actually getting ready to launch a price guide on there where people can download a PDF that'll show them what various types of remodels will look like price wise.
Dude, that's huge alone.
Yeah. We try to be upfront about it. And, I'll full well admit we're not the cheapest out there. By
but
any
dude, that's a
stretch.
huge, that's, sorry, I don't know if you follow this. Like, so I went through a whole remodel of this office here, and the amount of time, the amount of money that was added on at the end,
right,
is absurd. And again, people have that horror stories, but if you can literally show somebody hey, if you kind of want something like this, here's kind of what we can look at.
Exactly. So that's exactly what the price guide is. Is you'll go through there and be like, okay, if you're wanting a kitchen remodel with high end appliances, you're looking at between X and Y.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of how we operate in general. When people call us, we do, we jump on the phone with them. We want to know more about them, their project, where they're at, where they're at in the process, stuff like that. But then we also go out and we present them with a budget on that first visit,
I've never heard of a contractor doing that.
Well, okay, so we might need to extend the show. There might need to be a part 2, but we leverage technology. So we when I get off the phone with somebody, I'll say, hey, I'm going to send you a link to a program called Render. And what it's going to do is, if you have an iPhone or an iPad, relatively new, doesn't have to be brand spanking new, but relatively new, we can use the LiDAR system in the camera to measure your space for me.
Oh, hell yeah.
So it measures it for me. It sends it to me. We've already talked on the phone. I know kind of what they're going for. So now I know, okay, they're wanting new cabinets in this space. I'm going to need, 30 linear feet of cabinets on there. And I know they're talking about they want quartzite countertops. So I know about how much that's going to be.
Yeah.
So I can give them a ballpark
that saves
when I walk
you so
in.
much legwork too.
Correct.
That's awesome.
So, and it shortens our lead time too. It shortens our ability to get to the number for them, right? Because that's what everybody wants to know, right? They know what they want. Maybe they saw it on Pinterest, they saw it on HGTV, or they just had this idea in their head.
Well, like I said, and I'm not even doing any remodel right now, but you said hey, here's a price guide, and I got really excited for
because people just want to know, right? And I want a dog, websites and stuff, but the ones you see out there, Home Advisor and Angie's and all that kind of stuff, that pricing data they have is such garbage.
Oh, I bet.
It's such garbage.
And I'll tell you what, there's nothing that will make me close a website faster than seeing a button that says "call us for a quote."
Yeah.
No, I need it faster.
Yeah. And that's the world we live in, right? Is everybody expects something fast. Yep. And so that's been a real focus of ours this year so far, is how do we shorten that lead time to get to the number, even if it's a budgetary number, and I can fire off a lot of numbers off the top of my head, right? But to get you something that's a little more concrete, I need a little bit of time. Yep. But that scan of your home that's then sent to me is enough that I can give you an X to Y budget range. That's pretty dang awesome. Close.
Yeah, dude, I think you might be the first contractor I had to come in here in front of the camera, not behind it, obviously, because this place been fixed. But dude, I appreciate your time today. This is absolutely fantastic. If I'm not mistaken, you are the first that has reached out to me where I haven't had to chase it down. So also, thanks for shortening the lead time on that.
Heck yeah.
That was fantastic. So one more time, people find you at, what's your website?
masterpiececonstructiontx.com. Or you find us on Facebook and Instagram as well. Masterpiece Construction TX. We just keep it simple.
Perfect. Awesome. Again, dude, thanks for your time. Guys, as always, like, share, follow. Another episode of DFW Grit. Brandon, doctor, if you want to be. No, you don't. That's why we're here now talking about construction. That's awesome. You guys have a great rest of your day. And I say this at the end of every episode. And you saw how excited I got over a price sheet. I think it's absolutely true on this one, too. You will learn more here by accident than elsewhere by design. right here on DFW Grit. Thanks, guys.